In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your front engine mount. This is the one that goes right underneath the radiator fan right here. So let's get started. Now from underneath, let's loosen up the front engine mount. This is the one that sits underneath your fan. And there are two 14mm bolts that go up through these two holes. That's it. That's all that holds that on. I'm going to support the engine with a jack. I'm going to put it right there on the transmission, on the aluminum part. Do not put it on the transmission pan or the engine oil pan. Those are not to be jacked up on. As you'll notice, I have a rubber pad which will protect that surface from being damaged by the metal jack. Give it a couple pumps, just enough to release pressure off of the engine mounts. Now with the two bolts from underneath removed, you'll notice that I removed my battery. You do not have to do that. That is just so I can get you a nice, good shot at the situation here and at what I'm doing. Okay, you'll notice that the engine mount lifted itself up. So let's get a socket and remove that center bolt that goes through the engine mount. You'll need a 14mm socket for this. I'm going to hold the nut side with a wrench, also 14. I'm going to sneak my tool down here, break it free. Get this tool out of here, grab the bolt, and as you can see, because we have raised the engine up, there's no pressure on this mount, meaning that this can come out easily. Okay, there's the bolt. Clearly we're gonna have to clean this up because it is somewhat rusty. Now we can lift this up and out of here, and we actually have to lower the engine now back to its resting position. That way we can clear the fan. Okay, there we go. Spin it sideways, and once you do, it comes right out. There it is. Now take the new mount, and you'll notice that it has this tab here that sticks out. That is supposed to face towards the passenger side on the engine side. So not towards the radiator, on the engine side. Let's get this back down in here. Try to line it up the best you can. Make sure the bolt holes somewhat line up. Let's jack up the engine once again so that we can line up that center hole with the engine mount. Slide the bolt through, and I'm not going to tighten it. I just want to bring it close so that I can position the engine where it needs to sit, because if I tighten it now and I set the engine down, the engine mount, first of all, the bolt holes might not line up. Second of all, the engine mount might sit under tension because it's not in its natural resting position, and that is not going to be good for the longevity of it. It's going to wear out prematurely, and we'll have to do the job all over again. So I bottomed out the nut, but as you can see, this can still move around. That's exactly what I want. So let's lower the engine back down and let it rest on this engine mount. At this point, we can make sure that the lower bolt holes line up, which it looks like they don't. So this needs to actually move a little bit. Okay, so I raised the engine up slightly. That made the bolt holes line up. All right, that's snug. Let's torque it. I usually prefer to torque the nut side, but I can't in this case, so I'm gonna have to torque the bolt side. The torque for this is 38 foot-pounds, and I actually can't get my torque wrench in here just because I can't get any swing out of it to actually torque it. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to make it nice and tight with my air gun. But again, the torque for this is 38 foot-pounds if you can get a torque wrench in here. Okay, let's put back the two mounting bolts for this front mount. Make sure you start them by hand so they don't cross-thread. Bottom these out and torque them to 38 foot-pounds. And two. Now if you haven't yet, release pressure off the engine, and that's how you replace the motor mount.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.